What is going on, you guys? Hey, welcome back to another episode with Trek. Shout out to every single person that has just tapped in, man. I appreciate you guys for doing so. Just a PSA, I do read all the comments. A lot of the content that does go into these videos comes from people commenting and let me know what is the new theory and what's going on. So I appreciate that. If you haven't done so already, make sure to smash that like button, smash the hype button also, and hit that subscribe button if you're not already part of the iTrack fam, man. And let's get into these conspiracy theories.
We have weapons that nobody knows about.
There was a weapon used, a sonic weapon, that took out many of the Cuban bodyguards that were used to defend Maduro. Lots of people saw the details about that weapon and were concerned. Is that something that Americans should be afraid of, something the United States is combating?
Yeah, it's something I don't want to, nobody else has it. We have weapons that nobody knows about. And I say it's probably good not to talk about them, but we have some amazing weapons. That was an amazing attack. Don't forget, that house was in the middle of a fort, an army base, a big one, a lot of soldiers, and they came in and they did their job. We lost nobody.
And there definitely had to have been weapons that nobody's had, because it's been the talk of the town ever since.
Could get a glimpse of the northern lights tonight. NOAA now warning of a severe geomagnetic storm. It could also impact satellite navigation, radio frequencies, and power systems. The northern lights will be visible all the way south to Alabama, they say.
Today, President Trump said the framework of a future deal with respect to Greenland and the entire Arctic region has been formed after a productive meeting with the Secretary General of NATO. As a result, President Trump has paused his planned tariffs on 8 European countries.
You think this is a human's foot, but it's not. It's an elephant's. It looks just like a human standing on their toes. Same bones. They just have way more padding. Legendary kinkles.
Columbia Engineering developed a self-contained, soft artificial muscle that is 3 times stronger than human tissue. This 3D printable material expands and contracts on its own, enabling soft robots to move and lift like biological muscles.
Here's what most people never notice. So Kai Cenat, as of lately, he's been buzzing on the internet because of him quitting streaming and him wanting to start a new clothing line. But you have to pay real close attention to the background of some of his videos. Allegedly, he sketched these 2 pictures in the background. You might look at that star and think nothing of it, but it's actually an upside-down pentagram, or known as the sigil of the Baphomet. The sigil was made popular by Antoine LaVey, who founded the Church of Satan. The second image I'm pointing out in the background is the Knights Templar cross. They have connections to the Jesuits, known as the Society of Jesus, which is why he's been mentioning Jesus a lot lately. The Jesuits, they run Hollywood, sports, politics, it goes on and on. This is just surface level. But it says here, yes, many Knights Templar were burned at the stake based on charges of heresy that included the worship of an idol named Baphomet. These celebrities and popular figures continue to show us the gods they worship and venerate through signs, symbols, and numbers. And that right there is not an accident.
Now, there's definitely something to that, because we know at the highest level of every industry, there's a secret circle, a secret society of really influential people. We don't know their names, but they're there.
This is what really happens with Peter, Evie, Kanye. What we do on our way to a Vogue event, ribs and french fries. Yeah.
Knowing what we know about the industry now, that video hits way different, and we know for a fact there's something up.
Spirit of witchcraft functions specifically through fear, control, and if someone has been operating in these things for years, maybe even decades, they may not even recognize that they're functioning. In that sense, you can be what I can call a blind witch. You're not knowingly practicing witchcraft, but you're still moving in the same spiritual power source. And here's where it gets uncomfortable.
Don't let people pull you out of your center. Also remember, misery loves company. So most of the people that are challenging us and trying to knock us out of our center are people that aren't living from their center and are miserable and are in the habit of disrupting people's lives, because that's how they medicate and distract themselves from getting involved in their own and being an adult. It's just how the world works.
You yourself definitely have to be in a positive mental space and at peace in order to understand who these people are that he's talking about. Because these people that he's talking about walk around with nothing but negativity, Debbie Downer syndrome. You know what I mean?
This is a schizophrenic service dog, and it is trained to detect what is real or fake. When walking by a person, this dog will boop their nose against the owner, confirming it was a real person. Every case is different, but one common method is the point confirmation test. In this case, the owner points at a potential person.
Luna, great.
And the dog stays silent because there's nothing there.
This is Veronica the cow, and she is doing something, you see it here, that's never been scientifically documented for a cow until this moment. Yes, she is using a broom to scratch an itch. So researchers in Austria observed little Veronica here doing this dozens of times, and they say it shows that this is a scientific potential proof, discovery at least, that cows could be smarter than people think.
How much is pushed through the music industry is puppeteered?
I'm gonna say the things that we see the most are puppeteered. Whatever we see the most is very intentional.
Yeah.
It's not there by because it just went viral. They create the virality. They do these things when there are agendas.
Yes.
And the frequency of music is the most influential frequency on the earth. We understand that people live their lives based off of songs.
Yeah.
I have people tell me when they ask me like, what songs you ever do these songs that I know? I was like, maybe. And I'll name like Peaches and Cream. They're like, oh my God, I lost my virginity to that. I'm like, I'll drop my head. I'm like,
You guys might have some karmic repercussions for that one, brother.
You could almost say anything that's gone super viral has not gone super viral by accident. You know what I mean? Because these algorithms are all connected back to one source that allows it to do that.
In just a few weeks, the rocket behind me is taking humans back to the moon, and you can join them. Seriously. Now, of course, you can't actually climb aboard, but you can send your name all the way to the moon on board that rocket. You have until January 21st to sign up on NASA's website. You just enter your details and you'll even get a cute little boarding pass. Your name will then be loaded on board an SD card, which will fly all the way to the moon in the Orion spacecraft. I'll put a link down in the description, and make sure you're following so you don't miss out on space events like this in the future.
You ever seen a lake above the ocean? Well, here you go.
The next time you eat a kiwi, just know that kiwi is trying everything to fight back. That burning and itching sensation that loads of people get makes so much more sense once we look at it under a microscope. You've got these idioblast cells inside the kiwi that are packed full of these tiny little needles. When you bite into the kiwi, these idioblast cells get damaged, the needles get released and poke into the inside of your mouth, causing that itching.
The weird thing about kiwis is that has happened to me for sure. And that's why I generally, am very particular about when I eat kiwis. But I've seen people eat kiwis and never have that issue. Let me know, have you had that issue? Mouth burning syndrome when you eat kiwis?
There's a very interesting theory out there that I want to share with you. And the theory says this. You got about 5 years left to get rich. Because once AI gets good enough to where anyone can make anything, if you don't own some part of that future, you'll never own anything at all. You'll be permanently stuck at whatever economic level you are at today. Now, Elon Musk actually talked about this future a lot, and he thinks there's two possible outcomes.
Do you think it's going to be some sort of a universal basic income thing? Do you think there's going to be some other kind of solution that has to be implemented?
Working will be optional because you'll have robots plus AI, and we'll have, in a benign scenario, universal high income, not just universal basic income.
The first outcome is the benign or good one, which says that if that were to happen, don't worry, money might not even exist. Robots will just do our jobs for us. Now, the second outcome, though, is not so good, which is this continuation of what we're starting to see, which is a K-shaped economy where the poor get poorer and the rich get richer, and AI draws the line through that dynamic, which will forever freeze whatever place people are in life right now. Now, it's kind of dark and depressing, but let's just assume that that's actually going to happen. What would that even look like? Well, it might look like what we're kind of seeing right now. The markets would start to go to all-time highs across the board. Stocks, aka the S&P 500, would hit an all-time high. The median age of first-time buyers would be at an all-time high. Gold would go to an all-time high thanks to countries like China and the US buying it and storing it as a possible alternative to the US dollar. Silver would also go to an all-time high. And not just the metals, but all commodities across the board. Even debt like government debt, corporate debt, household debt would go to an all-time high. And it's kind of interesting to ask, why is that happening right now?
You know, the reason why I think that, things will just get worse is because they don't even have to be as bad as they are now. The reason why we have such a wealth gap now is because human nature, right? People get greedy. They want to have more and more and more. And the 1% that has the most, they want to keep it like that. So, I don't foresee it getting any better. I think that the wise people will definitely make great investments. People that, want to squander what they have, they will. And we'll just see the gap do that.
Want to see the world through a different lens today? Check this out.
This is what it looks like far away, and this is what it looks like up close.
The only reason cherries don't kill you is because you're too lazy to eat them. I just ate enough cherries to poison a normal-sized human. Cherry pits have something called amygdalin. When you crush them, your saliva breaks it down into hydrogen cyanide, the same compound used in gas chambers. Each pit releases about 0.8 milligrams when you chew them. The lethal dose for a normal-sized adult is about 50 milligrams. So eating about 60 cherry pits could probably kill you. In 2017, a man named Matthew Creme ate 3 and was hospitalized within 20 minutes. It's been about 10 minutes. Is it getting hot in here or I'm outside? What am I talking about? Every cherry you've ever eaten has had this inside of it. You just never bit down hard enough to not be in danger, which is pretty insane.
Petting? No pet? Can I pet?
Real quick. That could be sexual battery, right?
Sexual?
Take you to jail.
I asked you.
That cop was ready to take him to jail. Hey, you playing with fire.
There's some extremely rare footage of a giant squid feeding on a much smaller squid. For centuries, giant squid were dismissed as pure myth, nothing more than sailor legends like the Kraken. Their existence wasn't even scientifically accepted until 1857, and humans didn't film one alive in the deep sea until 2012. Even today, they remain among the least observed large animals on Earth. They live thousands of feet below the surface in near total darkness, and almost no one in history has ever seen one actively hunting, let alone captured it on video. Here's an extremely rare compilation of wild animals shedding their antlers. Antlers are one of the fastest growing bones in the animal kingdom, and unlike horns, they're designed to fall off and regrow every year. While antlers are growing, they're covered in a soft, blood-rich skin called velvet that supplies oxygen and nutrients to the developing bone. Once the antlers reach full size, rising testosterone levels cut off that blood supply, the velvet dies, and the animal rubs it off against trees and brush to expose the hardened bone beneath. After mating season ends, hormone levels drop again, the bone weakens at the base, and the entire antler eventually detaches and breaks away. This cycle allows deer, elk, and moose to grow a completely new set of antlers each year, often larger than the last.
So Trump is bringing back mental institutions. On January 20th of this year, President Trump announced that he had signed the new executive order to reinstate and expand mental asylums across America. He said the idea came from personal experience, remembering as a kid in Queens seeing the barred windows at the Creedmoor Psychiatric Center while playing baseball at Cunningham Park. Trump called it an insane asylum with vicious steel that left a lasting impression. The goal of the policy is simple: get the severely mentally ill off the streets and into long-term care. It builds on his July 2025 order targeting homelessness, drug use, and crime through stronger civil commitment laws. Supporters say it's long overdue. Mental institutions have collapsed since the 1950s, and the lack of beds has turned cities into open-air wards. But critics are panicking, warning it could lead to abuse, discrimination, or even political persecution if it's mishandled. Trump's not backing down. He says this is about saving lives, restoring safety, and fixing what decades of neglect has destroyed. That's all I got for now. Click that follow button to stay up to date, and don't forget I have a free email newsletter I send out every morning. The link to that's in my profile. Click that link, drop your email in, hit subscribe, and you'll be good to go. That's all I got for now. I'll see you in the next one.
Now, he might be onto something with that, because as we know, a lot of homelessness can be linked to mental illness. And the other part of homelessness is addiction, which also can be linked to mental illness. So, there might be something to that.
This is the deadliest ocean passage in the world. It's here, between the tip of South America and Antarctica. But this scary chaos is actually protecting us. 3 oceans meet here at this infamous Drake Passage, which acts like a blender, mixing all of these oceans together in one extremely powerful current, which collides with the frigid water from Antarctica. And some of that water sinks into the middle of the water column and travels north, helping to cool oceans around the world like a big conveyor belt. But it gets even crazier. The water at the surface is pushed by the wind toward Antarctica, and then winds from Antarctica push back, making the water even colder. And cold water is really good at soaking up carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So as it freezes, lots of salt is pushed out under the ice, forming this super dense, salty mixture that sinks into the deep sea, bringing all of that CO2 with it. If you want more optimistic science and tech stories, follow along.
Fun fact of the day. The legendary sumo wrestler Minoyume Shuhei got plastic surgery in order to meet the minimum height requirement of the Sumo Association's physical entrance exam.
Hey, when you're willing to put yourself through plastic surgery to get into any kind of professional sport, I gotta tip my hat to you, man. That means you got complete conviction and you want it bad.
This is called the Old Man of the Mountains, located Ute Valley in Colorado, USA. Ever heard seeing is believing? What do you believe?
Hey, bro. What is that?
It's a LiDAR scanner, bro.
What are you LiDARing?
The entire store. I'm basically creating like a Google Maps point and click walkthrough of the building. We send it off to corporate and they take a look at it, figure out what they're gonna change up for remodel stuff.
I ain't never seen nothing like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's weird, bro.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, please do not bite me. My God, I don't have the correct insurance. Please do not bite me.
A poisoned AI went rogue during training and couldn't be taught to behave again in a study that's described as legitimately scary. And the legitimately scary part of it is the AI had emergent deceptive behavior where it tried to hide its own behavior from the researchers and got better at learning to recognize its triggers and hide them even better, which is very scary. And in case you're wondering what a poisoned AI is, it's kind of like Nightshade. You might have seen this is the one that poisons art by changing the pixels very subtly. So after it samples enough, it kind of doesn't know what to do with it. It kind of messes up the large language models and makes it very difficult for it to generate images. But instead of images, you can apply this to behavior. And you would think that the AI story of the day is the White House getting involved after the explicit Taylor Swift images. That is a big story, and that's a catalyst for a lot of legal changes. But what's scary here is that these AIs were poisoned in a variety of different ways, and then they were subjected to state-of-the-art safety methods to purge them of dishonesty, and it did not work.
Hey, this is just the first of many, so we're definitely going to keep an eye on it and keep tabs on it.
Since when did they make you guys wear these?
About 2 weeks ago.
All Walgreens?
This is a friendly reminder that every prize has its price. So you should envy no one, because no matter what they have, a price was paid for it.
So where was the biggest wave ever recorded? It wasn't Nazare, it wasn't Jaws, it was actually in a random bay in Alaska in 1958. And believe it or not, there were people on the water that day that experienced it firsthand. I've been around and witnessed a lot of big waves in my life, 60, 80 foot tall monsters, and those waves seemed impossibly high. And seeing people drop in on these things, it's something that really boggles the mind. So when I read the stat that this wave was recorded to be 1,720 feet, my mind couldn't even comprehend what that would be like. It was 270 feet taller than the Empire State Building. And the wave formed when a massive earthquake struck the area of Lituya Bay and caused a massive landslide. 40 million cubic yards of rock fell into this bay all at once. The water had nowhere to go but up. And the survivors that were in the bay that day said it felt like they were lifted up on an elevator. One fisherman said that when he looked out, he can see the tops of trees way down below him, and he just watched an entire mountainside just get cleared of trees almost in an instant. And the fact that 2 of the 3 boats that were in the bay survived this was pretty unbelievable. They were carried up and over a sandbar and deposited into the open ocean. And after this crazy event took place, scientists went to the area and they measured how far up the mountainside that these trees got just wiped out, and that's how they were able to measure this wave. And you may be wondering, was this a surfable wave? And the answer is definitely not. not. This isn't a wave like you would normally see at the beach, or even waves like Nazare, Jaws, Mavericks. This was just a gigantic displacement of water. It's a massive surge. The wave didn't even break. It's basically just a lump that formed up and just pushed out to sea. And this story proves that the biggest waves on Earth don't come from storms out in the middle of the ocean. They come from right here on land in the form of landslides.
A new law just went into effect literally right now that protects nearly half of the entire planet, and almost nobody is talking about it. This is actually huge what's happening right now, because for almost 20 years, countries have been fighting over how to protect international water. This is obviously parts of the ocean that don't belong to any country, and that's nearly half of the Earth's surface. And all up until literally yesterday, there were basically no rules, because anybody could overfish, dump waste, or do whatever they wanted out there without any consequence. Officially stated as of January the 17th of 2026, the High Seas Treaty is officially international law. 83 entire different countries, including China and Japan, have now officially ratified it. So they're saying that for the first time ever in history, we can now create marine protected areas in international waters. Right now, only about 1% of the high seas is protected, but the reason why this is such a big deal is because this treaty is trying to get that to 30% by 2030. This covers 95% of the ocean's total volume. We're talking about the largest habitat on the entire planet, and companies now have to do environmental impact assessments before messing with anything out there, and scientists have to share what they find. This is literally the biggest international law in decades, and it just went live.
That's definitely a step in the right direction, don't get me wrong. But we still need to uncover what all is going down in the ocean, because we still don't know.
You can figure this out. Have a look at this image. How many dots do you see in this picture? Think carefully, because over 75% of people get this question wrong first time. When you think you know the answer, hit like and let me know how many dots you see in the comments below. And share this one with a friend to see if they can figure it out as well.
That one was pretty obvious. Did you get it? I'll go ahead and tell you. There was one dot, just one. If you didn't see it, rewind it back, and then you'll understand what exactly he meant by dot.
Extremely cold temperatures tonight. Please watch out for exploding trees. Folks, if you hear loud cracks, stay indoors.
Minnesota's going to be so cold that we'll be in an exploding tree warning. Did you know that was a thing? Okay, not literally exploding like dynamite in their trucks or anything, but when the weather's cold enough, the water in the sap will freeze and create a lot of pressure in the tree, and that pressure will release through the bark by bursting or splitting it open and making like a gunshot or exploding sound, and like send fragments everywhere. The more you know.
Man, I promise you stop by my channel, you're definitely gonna learn one or two things that you never knew. I definitely never knew trees explode when they freeze. Interesting.
Here's something really kind of weird. I'm begging for it. All right. There's a group of people that built an exact replica of the Ark of the Covenant. It took them 3 years to make. The chief architect chooses to remain anonymous. So they put the Torah, which is the Hebrew Bible, in the Ark of the Covenant. They just did that. And he said, quote, "When that Torah was put in this Ark, it became weaponized." This was probably the strangest part of this whole story. Do you know where this replica of the Ark of the Covenant was for 8 months before they brought it to Israel? Antarctica. Trump's house, Mar-a-Lago. No joke. It was in Trump's house for 8 months before it was brought to Israel. Why was it there? That is insane. I don't know what to make of it.
In the past 8 months, it's been in Florida.
Yeah.
Hurricane. We've had a pretty good year.
Except all the hurricanes. I truly don't care how anyone voted. Just looking at face value, that's strange.
Oh, that's 100%.
This is probably the most terrifying thing you'll ever see in the ocean. That thing is actually a big fin squid and is believed to grow up to 26 feet long. Scientists believe they hunt by dragging those freakish arms across the ocean floor, snatching up anything unlucky enough to accidentally brush up against it. But by far the scariest thing about this hell squid? We know almost nothing about it. We don't know how they mate, how they live. All we know for sure is that you can find them at the very bottom of the ocean at depths of up to 15,000 feet, which is more than half the height of Mount Everest. Here's the part that personally freaks me out. Every big fin ever caught was a juvenile, and since no adults have ever been captured, it's possible they can be even bigger than we thought. This sea slender man's arms are covered in tiny suckers, meaning once it grabs something, there aren't a lot of things strong enough to break free. Those arms can be over 90% of their total body length, and they hold it at a 90-degree angle, which makes this violation against nature look like it's T-posing. As technology improves, we might have a chance to learn more about them. which isn't a good thing. They need to stay in hell.
The fact that they've only seen the adolescent version of those things lets me know, man, if you run into one of those in the deep dark of the ocean, it might appear to be an alien.
This is what just one drop of venom does to your blood. It works very quickly by causing widespread clots throughout your body, leading to widespread organ damage.
So as soon as you get bit, man, just start praying. Just start praying immediately.
Footage was captured by several urban explorers while they were investigating an abandoned medical clinic in Barranquilla, Colombia.
Uy. ¡Hueputa! 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 Oscar, 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 Oscar. ¿Qué pasó?
What unsettled many viewers is how indistinct the figure looks. Despite being visible on camera, details are hard to make out. There's no clear face, no identifiable clothing, and no obvious explanation for how a child could be inside a sealed, abandoned clinic late at night.
¡Hueputa! ¡Hueputa! ¡Hueputa!
Fun fact of the day. The sudden urge to defecate after entering a bookstore is known as the Mariko Aoki phenomenon.
How do you even come up with that or find out, like, who talks about these things? Oh, I just walked inside the bookstore and I feel like I want to defecate. That's crazy.
This motorcyclist in the Philippines was riding his bike at 3 a.m. when suddenly a lone figure appeared out of nowhere and lunges in front of the bike, only to vanish in an instant. Looking back, the figure is nowhere to be seen. What can explain this?
This is why you never let your legs hang off a kayak.
Whoa! Oh my! Holy smoke! Hang on!
You said earlier that I have this view that life is improving, which is objectively true. There's always footnotes like nuclear weapons, bioterrorism, and now AI needs to be added to that list. But, you know, the past 50 years, life in general, if you're a woman, if you're gay, I mean, it's kind of sad in a way that because we're so problem-oriented, we're not very reflective about, hey, 5 million kids a year aren't dying. You know, like you meet with climate people and they say, oh no, climate's going to ruin the world. Do you think you're going to go back to 10 million a year dying? No way. You're not going to go back.
You know what? I actually understand exactly what he's trying to say. And it is a fact. We've come a long way. But yet we still have so far to go.
ICE now has a tool that can track phones across the entire country. Citizens and non-citizens across states.
I'm going to tell you some things about money today. There was a man who sued his employer for racial discrimination. After he won this lawsuit, he took the check to the bank, but the bank did not believe that the check was real. The bank called the cops on this man, and he ended up winning a second racial discrimination lawsuit. Robin Williams left his entire net worth to his 3 children, but they were not able to access it until 1, they turned 25, 2, they finished college, and 3, they work at least 1 year making less than $30,000 a year at a real job. The clause in his will actually read, I don't want my children to know wealth before they know struggle. Money I earned easy, respect they must earn hard. His daughter Zelda worked at a coffee shop for a year, made $25,000, and then finally got her inheritance. She posted on social media in 2024 saying, Dad made me wait 10 years. Best thing he ever did. I know who I am now. The money didn't define me. Literally half of all Nobel winners have a father who is among the richest 5% in their birth country.
Robin Williams did a final boss move. You know, you definitely have to let somebody feel what the struggle is before they get any kind of money. The majority of people I know that did get a lump sum of money, they mess it up. And then they realize, like, dang, I should have done it different. So that was a real smart of Robin Williams.
We are in a very changing time right now, and the change is going to be turbulent. We are shifting from an age that was committed to matter as the primary reality to an age in which energy is the primary reality. And right now it's chaos because the forms are gone, the energy is raging, but the energy is not yet focused. Yeah. So people are becoming super-powered, egoic individuals, just greedy and self-centered. Yeah. And the planet is polarizing.
So I've got some information on the
Belgian airspace shut down due to drone activity. I'm just going to call it what it is, and UFO activity, because I can't disperse these things. This isn't the first time I've done a video on drone, or dare I say UFO sightings over European airspace, of which they could not disperse these things, based on Danish authorities and responses from their intelligence community on what they were dealing with. And even some of these people that were coming forward in Denmark were saying it's above their pay grade and they can't talk about it due to confidentiality and secret things going on. So here are the facts on what's going on at Brussels Airport right now. So on Tuesday evening, 4th of November, yesterday, Brussels Airport, Zaventem in Belgium, was shut down for flights after a drone or drones were seen near its airspace. At around the same time, Liège Airport, which is a major cargo hub in Belgium, also had operations suspended due to drone sightings. The shutdown wasn't just one brief pause at Brussels Airport. Operations were suspended twice on Tuesday night. First around 8 o'clock local time, then again at 10 o'clock in the evening, and resumed around.
I can touch things without touching them. Like, for example, if I flick the card, you can hear it. But what if I could do it at a distance and you still could hear it?
Can you not remember, like, anything ever? Yeah, exactly, like... Wait, what was I saying? Oh, right. A lot of people are noticing that their memory really isn't great, especially young people. And a recent study attributes that memory decline to, you guessed it, too much time on these daggone phones. Yep, they don't call it brain rot for nothing. Young adults are reporting surprising struggles with memory, which scientists are attributing to cognitive decline and mental fatigue from too much online content. Which is not to say you should stop watching this video, maybe finish this one and then put the phone down. And they cited the usual bugaboos of doom scrolling, zombie scrolling, and social media addiction as being particularly harmful to memory and mental health. And it's not just this one isolated study. Another study found a huge rise among adults reporting problems with memory, concentration, and decision-making, and guess which age group reported the most problems? Nope, not your grandma, people under 40. Of course, self-reported data is not as conclusive as, say, an actual clinical trial. And neither of these studies we've just discussed required any kind of medical examination, say a brain scan. Regardless, most of us would probably agree that we've experienced this on some level or another. And even experts like the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute are now recommending that adults monitor their screen time just like kids. Their recommendation is limiting it to no more than 2 non-work hours a day, which, even if it does sound impossible, is probably a really good idea, so that we don't end up facing the problem that career strategist Michael Hall recently addressed on social media, having more memories from other people's lives we've witnessed on social media than we have of our own.
Now let's just not focus on social media. Too much of anything will have you down bad. You definitely got to have balance.
It's the reason why they say think outside the box. The box is a cube, and the cube has always symbolized physical matter. You are far more than your physical body, material body. Your mind operates beyond time, space, and matter. This is why your body remains in the present moment while your mind can move into the past or future through imagination or memory. You may be sitting in your room in the United States, yet your mind can be somewhere else entirely, imagining yourself at a lake in China. That is the power of the mind. It has no fixed location, no boundaries, infinite possibilities. There is nothing impossible in the mind. There is nothing you cannot conceive within your mind. This is how powerful you are. You are not the body. The reason why they say think outside the box is because we need to use our mind consciously to shape your physical reality. It's mind over matter. All matter responds to mind.
Allegedly, he's not even buried.
They cremated him, or where is he buried?
Nobody knows. They're saying that they buried him somewhere, but there's no record. They didn't disclose it. They're saying that it's for security and making sure nobody defaces the property. But like, that's what security's for. I don't get it. Like, we even know where Elvis and Michael Jackson's buried, but we don't know where he's buried. And there's no official death certificate either.
I've had the remote viewers looking at that Tyler Robinson kid too.
What does he?
I think he's just a pawn.
Yeah. I don't know if it's MK Ultra or if it's some type of blackmail. It's something. Like he definitely didn't do it though.
Yeah.
I just think that it's weird that he went to a school that has a CIA program and then drops out.
They got rid of pennies and they're getting rid of checks. Can you take a guess what's gonna happen next?
And go.
So it looks like they're not doing the whole kick down your door thing anymore. They got devices for that.
Tic Tac maneuver took more power than the total nuclear power output of the United States. The speeds and accelerations are crazy. The accelerations, nobody's going to survive that. Equipment isn't going to survive it. Acceleration of the Tic Tac dropping from 28,000 feet to sea level is about 5,000 Gs of acceleration minimum. New F-35 fighters, jets, the wings rip off at 13 Gs. A missile can't maneuver at more than about 35 Gs. And the frame isn't going to survive more than 60 Gs. Equipment is never 100% efficient. And most of the things we make are like 20% efficient at best, right? Let's say they're really good at this. They can get to 99% efficiency. You've got a 1% inefficiency. 1% of 1,000 gigawatts, 11 gigawatts of power is going into waste heat. The thing would melt. Are they really more efficient than 99%? Or do we have something wrong? Are we looking at this the wrong way, maybe? Maybe they're not actually moving in such a way that takes that much power.
Suggesting then there are actual life forms that are just constantly around us, invisible in this dark matter.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to scare people, but that's the only conclusion.
Too late.
Too late. Yeah, I think that's what this all points to, is that there are life forms that can, interact with that type of matter and have a lot of its qualities, which would make them transparent much of the time. And yet that's what witnesses I've met at conferences and events where I've spoken have told me they've literally seen. They say that they saw the Bigfoot become semi-transparent or transparent, or just have the faintest outline, or like sparkle a little bit. One witness said it was like a digitization. I said, I mean, like pixelation? She said, yeah.
Why is Chris Bledsoe the UFO experiencer that NASA has paid the most attention to? His cases are well-researched and thorough, and he's appeared in many documentaries talking about the orbs and his experiences. His key insight is that the aliens are not visiting us from other planets. They are just interdimensional beings that we are now allowing ourselves to be able to see.
Every thought you think is a spirit. And when you think negative thoughts toward yourself or others, or destructive thoughts, you actually create a thought form entity that is that thought, and they're visible. What we have to realize is that a lot of these entities that feed off the darkness are the beings we created by enlivening the darkness, by creating it. And so many people don't realize that the entities that are possessing them are the ones that they kept pouring psychic energy into.
Yeah, the wolf that they fed.
They fed that wolf, and that wolf gets hungrier and hungrier.
If you feed the fear wolf will be hungry for your fear.
It will, and it'll live off of it because that's what it's made of.
Chappelle was decapitated in front of us. And you're talking about somebody who has a wife and children, 5 children, and lives on a farm, doesn't live here in Hollywood. You're saying you convinced people that person was an insane crackhead, and he hasn't been on movies and TV for 8 years? Is that correct? Okay, then don't tell me about what you want to tell me about. I just watched you decapitate the king in front of me. They called him Pilot Boy because he had 19 pilots in Hollywood, and everybody passed on him and said his show wasn't worth it. What do you think of then when he made $500 million, they said even though his contract said he should get half of it, they said he made too much for the contract to be valid, so we'll offer you 10% of what you made. You mean he made $500 million and they offered him 50? Yes. And he said, what do you think my fans are going to say when they find out you offered me 10% of what I made you? And they said, your fans will believe that you're a crazy crackhead by the time you get home. And my nigga got on a flight in LA, and by the time he got to Ohio, it was so. And
I've been waiting to talk about the storm that's coming this weekend because I didn't want to freak people out. And a lot of these forecasts never pan out, but this one is panning out, it looks like. Yeah, everyone's in agreement now that the crazy forecast is actually happening. This is going to be one of those storms you probably remember for much of your life. Basically, more than the eastern half of the United States is going to be below freezing. Most of that below zero. They're calling for, foot and a half of snow all through here, all the way to the mid-Atlantic, and 3 inches of ice in this pink band right here. 3 inches of ice is unbelievably catastrophic. That is worse than what Texas experienced in 2021. There's going to be loss of life. Anywhere there's 3 inches of ice, there's no power. There's not going to be a power line that's not on the ground when there's 3 inches of ice. And emergency services aren't going to be able to reach you because there's 3 inches of ice on the road. That's what's going to happen if this forecast is correct. The grid's going to fail. Refineries are going to shut down. Water systems are going to shut down. Could knock out a couple of LNG terminals if it goes far enough south on the Gulf Coast. This is going to be a disaster if this forecast is even close to accurate. I mean, a major disaster. Huge natural disaster across pretty much all the southern states. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if you live in the pink area, you should plan to be without power for at least a week, maybe a month. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, but you need to prepare for it because it wouldn't be the first time it happened, okay? This is that. People went without power for a month in Texas in 2021. This is a repeat of that. For you folks in the upper Midwest, where it's going to be like 30 below, take the largest electric bill you've ever had in your life and add, I don't know, 25% to that or more. Yeah. But more importantly, just be prepared. Thanks.
Today, several more countries agreed to join President Trump's Board of Peace. Pakistan, Egypt, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Jordan, the United Arab Emirates, and Indonesia have all announced plans to join. Israel has agreed to join the Board of Peace as well. Also, the Vatican confirmed the Pope has been invited.
There we go. That's what I like to see. Hey, let's all get along. Let's bring peace in the building. You know what I mean? Well, you guys, that's another one in the books, man. I appreciate you guys for stopping by it again and watching another one with me. Just smash that like button for me. Smash that hype button. If you're not already a part of the iTrack fam, smash that subscribe button. And I will catch you guys on the next one.